Hello guys and welcome back to another video on Assetto Corsa Competizione on the PlayStation 5. Now today we've got some new content, we've got an update and we've got two new DLCs which are the Challengers Pack and the American Track Pack. So the American Track Pack features three new tracks: Indianapolis, Circuit of the Americas, the Formula 1 track, and Watkins Glen. And then we've got five new cars: the Audi R8 Evo 2, which is a GT3 car, the Ferrari Challenge, the BMW M2, the Porsche Cup, the new one, and the Lamborghini Huracan ST. Now there were two updates along with this, one that was released just before the DLC, which unfortunately didn't solve any bugs, but then there was another update released after the DLC came out, which has fixed a couple of bugs. So most importantly, and the one that everyone probably wants to know, is can you save and load your setups? The answer is yes. Triangle will now work if you're using a wheel, and you'll be able to access those save setups without having to mess around with going into control settings and changing to controller rather than your wheel. There are still a few issues with the button mapping, particularly on wheels and particularly involving the L2 and R2 buttons, but I have managed to find a workaround around this and basically get rid of the issue in a kind of a long and tedious way. So I will explain that a little bit in another video. So let's move on to the DLC then. So a lot of people have been very excited about this. Unfortunately, it is a little bit expensive, with the American tracks being $14.99. So essentially you're paying £5 per track, and then the Challengers Pack being $8.99. And although we get 5 cars, there's only one GT3 car, and if you do a lot of online, play a lot online, you're probably not going to be doing much racing, at least on console, in those other classes, because there's just not the player base to find good races with those other vehicle types. So let's have a look at the cars then. We've got the new Audi R8. Very excited to give this one a go, and as you can see, it's the number 46 car, driven by Valentino Rossi, the absolute legend this year. So that is pretty cool, having him in the game as well. There's a few other liveries and teams to choose from, but to be honest, my favourite is the number 46 Valentino Rossi car. There are also 10 custom liveries if you want to design your own custom preset designs. So that's actually pretty cool and gives quite a lot of opportunity to create your own livery. Next up, we've got the new Porsche Cup car. Now this one actually looks pretty cool, and you've got some really nice preset livery designs as well to choose from. So lots of different colours and options. You can of course create your own custom livery if you wish to do so, but to be honest, in my opinion, the preset ones look really good on this Porsche, so I would probably be sticking to one of these. So the new Lamborghini Huracan is obviously a Super Trofeo car, which means that it will be a little bit slower on lap times than a GT3 car, but may have a bit higher top speed on the straights, and it is a category of its own. It's faster than the GT4 cars though. In my opinion, I prefer the look of the GT3 Huracan over this new ST version. The addition of the Ferrari Challenge means we have another car category on the game. Again, a category all by itself, and once again this car's lap times will be in between a GT3 and a GT4, but maybe a little bit faster than GT3 on the straights. Again, we've got a number of preset liveries to choose from, and you can add your custom liveries like all the other cars as well. And finally, we've got the BMW M2, which is now officially the slowest car on the game, and again in its own category that is slower than GT4. On to the American Track Pack then, and I'm going to be starting with the Circuit of the Americas, driving the new Audi R8 Evo 2. So heading up the hill then towards turn 1, and you get a really good sense of just how steep it is. I don't think when I've played this game on Formula 1, you quite get that sense of just how steep that hill is. It's really good. This next section coming up here is absolutely fantastic. It feels brilliant when you get it right, but as you can see there, you can invalidate your lap times very, very easily. So you've got to be very careful with the track limits at this track, because yeah, you just go over that white line a little bit too much and you will invalidate your lap time wherever you are on the track. Another thing to look out for is some of the corner exits have quite big sausages on the outside, and they can really unsettle the car, so they are best avoided. And then the final section of this track starts off quite technical and is a little clumsy, but the last couple of corners are very fast and feel really good, and it's just a really enjoyable track to drive. I think we're going to get some fantastic racing here, because you have the combination of a challenging circuit, but then you have the long straights, the really wide open sections going into some of the hairpins as well. So there's going to be some good overtaking opportunities, and I think it's going to be a really good race circuit for GT3 cars. Next up we have Indianapolis. Now this one caught me off guard a little bit, because the marker boards for each corner must be in feet rather than meters. I was braking way too late initially, because I was going off how many meters away from the corner I was, but that was obviously not correct. To be honest, this track is probably my least favourite of the three. I'm not a massive fan of this infield type section of track, and all the different combinations and layouts that there are available on it. And coming out this corner here, I don't really know if you're allowed to go this wide, but the game didn't invalidate my lap time, so I'm just going to assume that is the racing line, and that is what we'll do. It's definitely going to be the fastest way anyway, using as much of the track width as possible. The end of the lap is probably the worst part in my opinion. It's just got a number of slow, awkward corners that aren't particularly enjoyable. It doesn't have a nice flow to it, so maybe I just need a little bit more practice on this circuit, but I just wasn't getting into a nice rhythm with it. And you can see here as we're braking how many times I've hit those bollards up ahead. And then we finished the lap off with a very slow, awkward left-hander, followed by a fast right-hand corner back onto the oval circuit. So like I said, not my favourite track, but I still think the game does a good job of replicating the Indianapolis circuit, and it's definitely my personal preference for not liking this track rather than something with the content itself, if that makes sense. I should also add that it has a very, very long pit lane, so just bear this in mind if you're going to be racing here, because you're going to spend a long time in the pit lane all the way up to the first corner. And to be honest, the first time I came out of the pit lane I did actually get a little bit lost, because it's quite confusing with all the different track layout options and painted lines on the floor, so just be aware of that. So last but not least we have Watkins Glen. Now this is probably my favourite track out of the three new ones. I don't think it's going to be the best for racing on though, because it can be a little bit narrow in places, and I don't think there's any places that are going to be easy to overtake. So I think Circuit of the Americas would be the best for racing on, but in terms of just general feel of the track, this is by far my favourite. There's a massive amount of undulation. It feels a bit like a roller coaster through this first section, and it's just really thoroughly enjoyable to drive. Like I was saying with the Indianapolis circuit a minute ago and being unable to get into the flow, here I found the flow quite well and just really thoroughly enjoyed it. Good time to talk about the Audi as well. So really like the feel of the Audi, to be honest. It's very stable, it handles really nicely, and it takes the curbs really well as well. It's a car that really allows you to push it. The previous version of this car could be a little sketchy at times, but I definitely have been finding this one much easier to handle and just really enjoying it. The cockpit is a bit plain, if I'm being honest. It's just sort of carbon fibre, and the dashboard is nothing to write home about, but it's a really nice car to drive, and I think I'm going to be spending some more time on it going forwards, and perhaps maybe using this car as my main car instead of the BMW, just for the time being. I still need to test it out a little bit more, but my initial impressions is it could be pretty fast. When I did a top speed run, at the Circuit of the Americas, I achieved 161 miles an hour before braking at the end of the straight, and then with the same temperatures in the Ferrari, which is known for being very fast in a straight line, it was 160 miles an hour. So the Audi was actually a little bit quicker. I need to test this again at Monza to really see which car is the fastest in a straight line, but initial impressions is the Audi could be pretty quick. I also need to jump onto one of the previous circuits in this car to really give it a good test, because I know what sort of lap times will be good at certain tracks. And today I wasn't really focused on the setup either. I was just using the default aggressive. So don't use any of my lap times you've seen in the video today as a benchmark, because I wasn't pushing too hard. I was just enjoying the tracks really. So overall, I am really pleased with the new content, and I'm really glad that they have finally fixed that setup bug, because that was super annoying. If you were to ask me, is it worth the money? Would I buy it? It is quite expensive. I would say definitely go for the tracks, because everyone's going to be wanting to race on these tracks at the moment, so you'll definitely get your use out of them. In terms of the car, if you're already set on your favourite GT3 car and you're unlikely to use the Audi that much, then I probably wouldn't worry about the Challenger pack. If you're someone who enjoys playing offline and definitely want to give the Audi a go, but also maybe do a season of Ferrari Challenge, for example, then I would go for the Challenger pack as well. But if you're more of an online player, really you would only be getting the Challenger pack to get the Audi, and essentially you're then spending £8.99 for one car. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. But overall, it's great that we're still getting new content for console, and who knows, maybe one day we will catch up to the PC version. Now let me know in the comments below what you think of the new DLC. Do you think it's worth the money, and have you been enjoying it? Also let me know if you've been experiencing any more bugs, issues after the latest update, and I'll do my best to help out if I can. Other than that, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and I will see you again very soon.